Welcome to our first video, and for today, I would like to share with you some of my cultural shock experiences from living here in England, United Kingdom. I am born and raised in the Philippines, and it's almost been 2 years now since I moved here to work as a nurse. And to be honest with you, it's just been a roller coaster experience for me. A lot of highs, a lot of lows, and all the in-betweens. And just to give you an idea of how big of a change it was for me, I was 24 years old when I moved here. It was my first plane ride, it was my first travel abroad, and I was really intimidated of all the processes that I had to go through at the airport. And moving here in the UK felt like being thrown into a completely different world wherein what they usually do is very different from what I was used to when I was still living in the Philippines. So I prepared some notes here just so I wouldn't be sidetracked or I wouldn't be lost in thought. So please bear with me. Before I start, I would just like to give a disclaimer. This video, what I will be sharing with you, what I will be talking about is just based on my personal experience. It's not my intention to generalize the whole British community, or it's not my intention to offend any culture. And I feel like if you have a different experience from what I will be sharing, or if you've had the same one, or if you agree or disagree with what I'm talking about, feel free to leave a comment, and it would be an interesting topic to discuss about. Right, so the first thing that I want to share with you is about the weather. We all know that Philippines is a tropical country and we only have two seasons, the dry season and the wet season. So during the dry season, specifically around April, May, March, or even June, and because of climate change, mostly all year round, the temperature would go as high as 30 degrees Celsius, and the heat index would reach around 40 degrees Celsius, or worse, even 50 degrees Celsius, especially in my hometown. And because of that, our homes are built with air conditioners and fans. So name it all, stand fans, wall fans, ceiling fans, desk fans, even the portable ones, we have it just to keep us cool and comfortable, especially at night when we're about to sleep. Now, let's compare it with the British weather. This is gonna be interesting. Just so you know, I moved here November 2020, so it was just the start of the winter season, and the change was really drastic, from being in an oven in a sauna-like place to being thrown into the cold British weather. I really took some time to get used to it, and it came to the point wherein I would wear like winter clothes, those thick coats, thick jackets, even when I'm inside the house. Whenever I'm cooking, or whenever I'm doing the dishes, I would still wear those coats. And just imagine how silly I look running around the house like that. I think the coldest temperature that I've experienced so far was negative 4 degrees Celsius. Guys, super lamig talaga. And because of that, you would feel like you want to stay in the house all the time. It's what we call as the cuddle weather. You just want to lay in bed, watch TV, but you can't because you got to work. What else? Sunrise, of course. Sunrise here during the winter time would be as late as 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and then the sunset would be as early as 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. That's during the winter time. During the summertime, baliktad naman siya. Sunrise would be as early as 4 a.m. guys. Imagine yung 4 a.m. ang liwaliwanag na. And then it would be as late as, let's say, 10:30 p.m. or 11 p.m. So, another thing that I would like to say is because in the UK, it is mostly cold all year round. They have radiators in their houses instead of air conditioners or fans. They have built-in radiators, and it also looks like an air conditioner, but it's just mostly like a white compartment. And that's a picture of a radiator. So what they do is sometimes, it's just turned on 24 hours, or they would set a timer wherein it would run for 8 hours, 10 hours, especially when they're inside the house. And sometimes, what they would do is they would hang some clothes or put clothes on top of the radiator para magpatuyo ng damit. Kasi syempre nga malamig, they couldn't hang it outside, especially when it's snowing, so they would just put it on top of the radiator. So another thing that I would like to share with you is about the unpredictability of the British weather. Guys, I'm telling you, I find it really fascinating how quickly it could change. Like for example, 8 a.m. it would be so warm, so sunny, so bright, and then all of a sudden, after maybe an hour or so, bigla na lang siyang uulan. Tapos, it would rain for maybe about 15 minutes, and then it would go back into being warm and sunny again. So, alam niyo yun, sa isang araw, ilang beses na magaganon. And then, I've had this experience wherein it was warm during the morning, alam niyo yun, mainit, and then during noon time, guys, nag-snow po siya. So, from mainit, bigla siyang nag-snow, and then tumigil, and then naging mainit ulit. So, that was during winter, way back 2020, I think. No, not 2021, I mean. Until now, I'm not really fully adapted to the cold weather, although I'm more I would say more resistant to the cold weather than how I was before. Pero I still need some time to get really used to it. And well, come to think about it, maybe I won't. And with that being said, because it's mostly cold all year round, the British people love the sun so much. For my second point, another cultural shock that I've experienced while living here in England is about how the British people tell the date and the time. Well, before that, if you notice, I moved to a different location because the room that I was staying in a while ago got a bit noisy. So, in order to avoid background noises, I just moved here. Medyo malapit na po ito sa kitchen area. But anyway, going back to my previous point, the way that the British people tell the date and the time is entirely different from the way that we do it in the Philippines. In the Philippines, for the time, we use the 12-hour format and we use AM and PM. So if you would ask us what time is it, we would just say it's 7:05 a.m. or 7:10 p.m. and we would tell you exactly what the time is. Like if it's 7:13, we would say it as it is. We wouldn't round it up. We wouldn't give you an estimate. So 7:13 a.m., 7:13 p.m. Or if it's 8:51 a.m., 8:52 p.m. And then with regards to the date, the month goes first, followed by the date, and then the year. So, for example, if your birthday is February 7, 1997, in the Philippines, you would write it as 02/07/1997. Well, in comparison with how things are here in the UK, for the time, they usually give a word answer. When I say word, they don't say it's 7:15. Instead, they would say it's 7:15. So for another example, like if it's 7:20, they would say 7:20. And if it's 7:30, it's 7:30 or 7:30. If it's 7:45, they would say 7:45. If it's 7:55, they would say 5 to 8. And then they use the 24-hour format, especially in documents. They wouldn't write 7:15 p.m. or a.m. So if it's already p.m., if it's already 7 p.m., they would just write 1900. If it's 11 o'clock p.m., they would just write 2300, and so on and so forth. Now for the date in the UK, the day goes first before the month, then followed by the year. So for example, if your birthday is again February 7, 1997, you would write it as 07/02 1997. So Filipinos, then the month and then the year. See, I'm already getting confused. When I moved here, it took some time to get used to it. And I remember when I started working and I'm doing paperworks, I'm doing care plans, and I'm doing like daily record of care, which is like the equivalent of charting in the Philippines. I always make mistake and I would write AM or PM. Although it's not technically incorrect, but it's just not how they do things. So after some time, I got used to the 24-hour format, the date format. So now, whenever I'm doing paperwork, I would follow the British way. And then third thing, maybe I would say, I'll say this in a more positive note. It's not really something that made me feel anxious or something that overwhelmed me. I say this in a positive way. Third thing is about the habit of giving cards if there's some occasions or events. In the Philippines, it's not common for people to give cards whenever it's their birthday or if it's a wedding, if just for any occasion. And if somebody gave you cards in the Philippines, usually it's because it's meant for something really special. Like for example, if you're dating somebody and you want to impress them, usually you give flowers, you give a bouquet, and then you give a card with it with like your handwritten note. But here in the UK, they would have shops intended for the sale of cards, and it is for all the occasions that you could think under the heavens. If it's for the birthday of your daughter-in-law, of your grandmother, grandfather, birthday of your husband, for the anniversary of weddings, if you've gotten into a new job, if you're moving into a new home, literally any occasion that you could think of, they have a card for it. So you would go into this shop and you would just, it would literally be aisle after aisle after aisle of cards that you could choose from. And then I could remember the first time that I got a card is during Christmas time. That was December 2020. And usually in the workplace, what they would do is they would get all the names of all the people working there and they would buy cards for every one of them. So sa akin, although I've just moved there, I received some cards from people na although hindi ko pa gaano close, binigyan nila ako ng card. Kasi nga, that is their habit. They give cards to everyone for every occasion. And receiving a card just made me so happy, and I still have those cards with me. Iniipon ko po siya because it just makes me feel special. Although it is very common here, sa akin, pag nakatanggap ako ng card, talagang cherish ko siya, iniipon ko siya. So I think that's all for some of the culture shocks that I've experienced. I still have a lot to share with you, but it would take me hours just to, tell you about them all. So for now, please like the video, subscribe, and click the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my content. So see you in the next video. Thank you very much and bye!